What's up everyone, this is JDM, and today we'll be talking about how to fight tilt and how to keep your opponent from getting inside your head. Some players like to do a little trash talk before a game. Maybe they're trying to get inside your head. I mean, that's the whole goal of what they're trying to do, probably. But to me, how I look at it is you can't, like, who cares what they say? None of it affects me. I actually, if they were to do something like that, I think it fuels me and it makes me angry, and I just try to go in that match and I try to just dump on them. But you know, other people get affected by certain things differently. So that none of that stuff affects me really. But one thing that I really do think is important and will help fight off like tilt. It will fight off what people are saying about you or whatever. It's one, staying away from social media. That could definitely help. You know, going into a match or going into a tournament. Staying away from Reddit. You know, Reddit can be toxic. I really think HLTV, Reddit, and social media just in general is like so fueled on like stats. And like I said before in my other videos that I've already done, you know, stats don't matter, man. People don't know what actually happens in game. The only people that know what happened in game is your teammates, you and your teammates. Communication can get you killed 9 out of 10 times. So, you know, no one outside the game knows what truly goes on besides you and your team. So you just gotta focus on that and not focus on what other people are saying. But one thing that I know that works and something that you could, you know, implement into your routine is imagery. Going into a tournament, this is something you would probably wanna practice, not like last second, but just like maybe 2 weeks before a tournament. I've learned this from sports psychology classes and, you know, sports psychologists that always talk to me. Imagery is a huge part of succeeding and mentally preparing yourself for a match or a tournament. So just, you know, it could be something as simple as, you know, before you go to sleep every night for 2 weeks straight, leading up to a tournament. Imagining past plays that you've done where you've gotten a multi-kill, you've gotten 3 kills, you did something crazy. And it's not just thinking about what just happened, it's literally step by step of what I was doing. I try to imagine how my hands were feeling and how they were positioned, how I was positioned, what I thought was gonna be happening at every given second during that round when I was in that clutch, and reliving it, you know? So like imagining everything going again, because you wanna keep everything positive. And what it does, imagery, and you could do this, like I said, before you go to sleep, or if, say, you're having negative thoughts about what's going, like, you know, just at any given time during the day where, you know, someone said something and you just happen to read it or whatever, just blocking that out and just imagining your plays, or imagining, it could be anything of your team, of anything that's what ended up being successful. But also mentally preparing, because confidence is such a key factor of you succeeding and your team succeeding. So leading up to a tournament, when you have imagery and you've been practicing this, you imagine, and it helps you remember certain plays and what you're supposed to smoke and what you're supposed to flash for that round. But imagining you go through each strat and each play that your team has for a certain map, because then you go through the motion of what you're supposed to do in that round, and come game time, you know, when you're actually in a match and there's pressure and, you know, maybe there's nerves kicking in, you have been practicing for this mentally for the last 2 weeks, and you know exactly what you're supposed to do in a given round of a strat that's being called, you know. I know it helps for me, I know that it can help for you, and it can help for anyone else that wants to use that, but imagery is such a big part of staying confident, blocking out the negative, you know, thoughts, and just being mentally prepared leading up to a tournament. I think it's really important as a player, an individual, a teammate, to constantly reset every round. And for you to be doing this helps with fighting any sort of tilt, any negative, situation or that you just got done experiencing. It could be as simple as someone killed you, won the round, and started teabagging you right there. And maybe you see that and you don't know how to react. Maybe that bugs you. Like, to me, that wouldn't bug me. I wouldn't care about that. It would fuel me, like I've said before, and I would actually probably get a 3K, 4K the next round because I was pissed and angry and I wanted to, destroy them. I use that anger and frustration as in, a way that's not clouding me, but I use it to, for my advantage, to get me more confidence in myself, and I'm gonna show him, kind of thing. But if you're a person or player that it does affect you, the best thing that you can do technique-wise is just like you gotta understand that each round is so different. In Counter-Strike, you have to reset. As soon as that round ends, you need to reset and you need to think about just what you need to do for the next round, not anything that happened in the previous round. Because at any given moment, you could win or lose in Counter-Strike. I mean, Counter-Strike is such a crazy, interesting, fun game to watch because anything can happen at any moment. I've seen so many games where, teams would choke and they win, they get to the 15 match point, and they're 15-6, but they still lose out and they lose in overtime, and that's something that should never happen, when you're 15-6. And the best technique in that sense is, like I said, you need to reset because that next round you could win and it can be the biggest thing, in order for your team to succeed and get that W. It's all taking it step by step. If you place and you think about one round at a time, it makes it easier to look at it that way versus looking at the bigger picture when you're not looking at round by round and you're like, oh, I got a certain amount of rounds left, or shoot, we have to win. If it's 15-6, we have to win 9 rounds just to tie them and then come back. So in a way, I kind of think of it as like back in the day when I had to, for PE or track, when you're running the mile, right? When you first start, the worst thing that you could do, which everyone does it, it's like, oh, I gotta run 4 laps, right? Well, if you think about it this way, you take 1 lap at a time, you go, oh, I just gotta run 1 lap. But if you're committed on that and that's just strictly what you're thinking, it goes by a lot faster and you're not as stressed out as you were in the beginning if you're thinking it's 4 laps. So you just gotta take it step by step, round by round, 1 lap at a time, and take it that way. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope these techniques and tips are useful for you.